Should we sell Marcus Rashford? And is Man City's defence being overlooked? Welcome to my new YouTube channel. First up today, we're going to have a look at how we bring more Man City players into our team. They're absolutely flying at the moment, right? And look, is Haaland enough? Absolutely not, which is why last week I bought Grealish in, and now this week I'm looking to add a third Man City asset. Now I want to talk about their defence because yes, they're the best attack in the league, we know that, but they're also, by a country mile, the best defence in the league as well. And if we take the last 4 game weeks, for example, and we look at the expected goals against them, it's super low, 1.38. They've faced 4 shots on target in that time. Now, yes, they've only kept 2 clean sheets in that time, and they've conceded 2 goals in that time, but they've been a little bit unlucky, and the clean sheets are about to come in for Man City defenders. You know, even shots outside the box in those 4 game weeks, only 3. The reason they're so good at the back is, well, they have the ball so much that teams without the ball can't create opportunities. So what defender do we like, and who should we be looking to bring in? Like, with the fixtures Man City have got, and we know they're going to have some double game weeks as well, I really think there's an argument to say you go Haaland, Grealish, we'll talk more about him later, with a defender, or possibly with Ederson. The reason I don't like Ederson so much is other goalkeepers in the game can go and get those save points and bonus points, whilst Ederson's ceiling is 6 points, right? He doesn't get the save points and he doesn't therefore get the bonus. Now, defenders, you could also argue they're ceiling 6 points, but they might be competing with players that are going to get 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. Rico Henry at Brentford, for example. Yet Ederson competing with Raya at Brentford is a different proposition. Raya could concede in a game, and unlike Rico Henry getting 2 points, Raya could be getting a 3 or a 4 pointer quite comfortably versus Ederson's 6. That's the reason I'm not looking at Ederson in goal, but I am looking at their backline. Now, if we take the 4 defenders that Pep's been playing most, then it does feel like a very nailed backline, and I don't think we're going to suffer a huge amount from Pep Roulette in the run-in. They might use Sheffield United to rotate in the FA Cup semi, but I think these Premier League games are all finals for them now, and if these players are fit, I think they'll be starting. Now, maybe the 4 players I mentioned, maybe they will miss 1 or 2 Premier League games. You take that on the chin and you're happy that you're going to get a ton of 6-pointers. So let's look at them. Pros and cons of each. Well, if we start with, say, Ake. Cheap. Only real option in the left-back slot. Possibly the best goal threat of all the Man City defenders. Flying at the moment. Someone I'm definitely looking at. Then we go across to Diaz, my preferred option, right? I think the last 7 games, Diaz had played 90 in all of them. Love that, but he is the most expensive. I can't stretch to him, for example. Akanji, you get similar with Ake. Maybe out of the 4 guys we're talking about here, maybe Akanji is most likely to miss minutes. Although you could argue John Stones, because of his injury record, maybe can't play twice a week every week between now and the end of the season. So Akanji I'm not looking at. Diaz I would love if I could afford him. Ake I'd be very happy with. And then John Stones is great. We know he's playing inverted in that midfield role when they've got the ball. He offers a bit of goal threat too. The fear with John Stones is he's so important with this new system Pep's using that maybe he'll need a rest or 2 because of his injury record. So in conclusion, I think Diaz and Ake, Diaz if you can afford him, Ake if you can't. But look, the reason why I'm looking at Man City defenders, if we look at the fixtures that are coming up between now and the end of the season, I predict we're going to get a ton of clean sheets. So look, let's have a look. Like I'm being flippant here, but we put out all the Premier League fixtures between now and the end of the season. Which ones can we see clean sheets on? Well, if we look at this list, from all of these teams, the only ones I wouldn't be that confident of a clean sheet, and I'm sure they won't keep cleans in all of the ones I've highlighted. The Arsenal game, perhaps that's not a clean sheet. The Brighton game, perhaps that's not a clean sheet. But I can see them keeping cleans against, Leicester and Fulham and West Ham and Leeds and Everton and so on. So for me, you go Man City defence if you're looking for a transfer in this week and you've already got that Man City midfielder. So that's a nice section there on why I think Man City defence absolutely should be looked at. And these guys, they're all pretty much differentials. They are highly being overlooked, in my opinion. And it's probably because Man City defenders aren't the sexiest pick. They're not the sexiest pick because historically we want defenders that are clocking up goals and assists. Well, this season, Trippier's been great, but all the other sort of wing-backs and full-backs, they've not been exactly smashing it. So reliable 6-point assets like Ake, like Diaz, I think we should be looking at. And when I look at the ownership, Diaz is the highest on 6.8%. You know, Ake 4.4, Akanji's 2.6, John Stones 2.3%. These guys are all differentials, and Man City defence, I think, is a really nice option for the run-in. The big talking point in the community this week is all about Marcus Rashford. We have to address it. What am I doing with him? What are you going to do with him? It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? So, look, how long is he going to be out for? We don't yet know, but we do know what Ten Hag has said already, and as the days go on, we'll learn more and more. The quote so far as of Wednesday was, subsequent assessment of the injury suggested that Marcus will be unavailable for a few games, but is expected to be back for the season running. How many is a few? Well, I always think a few is, if it was two, it'd be a couple, right? So it's more than two, but a few could be 10. Who knows? Game week 34, the double game week for Man United, is the reason why we are reluctant to sell Marcus Rashford. That double game week is a really good one for him. In game week 33, he plays Spurs, but in game week 34, the double game week is at home to Villa, away to Brighton. And I think if we think Marcus Rashford will be fit for game week 34, there's a really good argument to say we hold on to him. Now, game week 34 is 18 days away from that quote from Ten Hag. 18 days. It's 6 games because of United's involvement in Europe in the FA Cup. So he's got 6 games. A few games? Is that as many as 6? I don't know. Let's learn more. If you can hold him this week, I think we'll learn more as the week go on. Now, the good news is many are free hitting in game week 32, so you don't need him then. When United don't even have a fixture. And game week 33 is a difficult one away to Spurs. So for me, I'm looking to probably hold him, but I do have Jack Grealish in my team. Now, who are the top replacements if you are looking to sell Marcus Rashford? Let's have a look at them. And Jack Grealish has to be the first replacement on everyone's lips, right? He absolutely smashed it last weekend. He's nailed in that left-hand slot. City are looking like they're going to score 4 goals every game. You want more City players. He's cheap. He's more nailed than Silva or Mahrez, who will play on the right. Grealish feels like a really easy buy. And with the news we know, I think if I didn't have Jack Grealish in my team, I'd be looking to possibly move Rashford out for Grealish if I didn't have, say, a Maddison or someone like that I could easily sell. Now, there are a fair few Maddison owners out there that will make that move, and that's the move to make. Maddison out for Grealish if I was you, over Rashford for Grealish. But there's other great midfield options that short term you might look to sell Rashford for. And it is something I'll give consideration to. I don't think it's a move I'll make because I'm keen to get that City defender this week. But there are great midfield options. You could sell Rashford, and then if he's fit for game week 34, you just bring him back. So I think Grealish is a really good replacement. But I think Martinelli is a great replacement as well. Many of us have sold our Arsenal assets. Well, Martinelli's about to play West Ham and Southampton. They'll score goals against anyone. We saw that at Anfield. So Martinelli's a really smart investment too. I think there's other good options at Old Trafford. Bruno will be playing more advanced. Now Casemiro is back. Eriksen should be back in that midfield starting very soon as well. And if that midfield trio of Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno are a thing, which I think they will be, then we can expect to see Bruno in that number 10 role. When he's in that 10 role, he's going to be so dangerous. Again, another player we want for that double game week 34. And then finally, it's not a like-for-like replacement because he's so much more money, but Mo Salah, if you can get to Salah from Rashford, maybe you've got a ton of money in the bank, maybe you're looking to sell an expensive asset, then again, Salah is a player. We saw the amount of shots he had against Arsenal. Yes, he missed a penalty. That could have very easily been a 15, 20-pointer. So for me, Salah should also be on your radar. Maybe not as a Rashford replacement, but someone you want in by game week 34 if you can get there. And for me, it might be that Rashford spot becomes Salah in a couple of weeks. And I give Rashford a few weeks, learn more about his injury, about how long he's going to be out, and then if it's looking touch and go in 34, that's when I upgrade to Mo Salah, and maybe Harry Kane has to be the make weight. So lots of options there. It's a real predicament. His price, I'm sure, will be dropping. Let's have a look at see how I got on last week and my plans for this week coming up. So here we go. My team, I was fairly happy with my returns. It was a good game week, and I think a lot of that came down to bringing in Jack Grealish. I did take a hit, and I'm okay with that. Like, I think hits A fine hits are great when you see instant rewards, but it means by taking that hit, I'm now a transfer ahead of most people that will be looking to target Jack Grealish. So the big decisions I made last week, there were a couple of good ones and there was a couple of bad ones. So Grealish came in for Maddison on a hit. I'd only just transferred Maddison in on a hit, and I sold him on a hit for Grealish. But I was happy to do that, and it was the right decision. And sometimes the fact that you brought him in a couple of weeks ago on a hit or a week ago on a hit shouldn't impact your decision moving forward. Treat every transfer in its own right. Don't let the past dictate what you're going to do that given game week. I also started Solly March over Bruno Fernandes. I thought with Bruno playing deep, I didn't want him. I know the penalty appeal was there, but the Brighton attack is so good. And again this week, Brighton midfielders, start them. 68 points. I'm fairly happy with my overall rank. I've had some small greens, hoping to get into that 100k very, very soon, and confident I can reach there by the end of the year, which is a nice aim. Obviously 10k is always the target, but 100k still a nice milestone as more and more engaged managers are now very good at FPL. So that was the good. The bad was I sold Tony instead of Havertz, and that's purely for the reasons stated in last week's video. The fear of the suspension, the yellow cards. I should have kept Tony just for a week or two, right? And I don't have Ollie Watkins. He is killing my rank. But let's have a look how I'm going to set up for the week to come. Now, I've mentioned my transfer targets. It's very likely I go Rico Henry out and I bring Nathan Ake into my team. That means I can still have Kai Havertz benched because he's been useless and I have no interest in him being in the 11. That spot might become a dead spot soon. I might go down to an enabler at 4 million and just save the money. Or possibly I replace him with a Darwin or a Jesus or a Isaac or a Watkins, who knows. But for the time being, my focus is on getting 3 Man City players into my team. Captain's an easy one this week, isn't it? And obviously Haaland has the armband. So fairly well set. I am going to play Raya instead of Kepa. And I do think Brentford have got a chance of a clean sheet against Wolves. I do not expect Chelsea to keep a clean sheet against Brighton. The Brighton attack feels like second or third best in the league at the moment, and they were so unlucky against Spurs. I expect Brighton to score every game. They certainly put up the XG numbers. So play your Brighton mids, and your Chelsea defenders that have upside, like Chilwell, worth giving a go. Who knows if Chilwell will even start? But your Chelsea keepers, Kepa, I think we can probably bench if we've got a good replacement this week. So let's have a look at some differentials. So, chasing up your mini leagues is always important this time of the season. So I've identified 3 players who are lowly owned, who your mates probably don't have. Now, these are okay for this week, but more picks for the run-in. So who do I like? I'm going to give you 3 names. I'm going to start at Newcastle with Isaac. Now, we saw for the first time last time out, Isaac and Wilson getting quite a lot of minutes playing together, which is something we absolutely want to see, because the fear of buying the Newcastle number 9 is, Wilson will share minutes, and they absolutely will. I don't really want to pay 7+ million for a player that's only going to play 60 minutes each week. But if we're going to see them both together, I like Isaac very much. He's impressed me of late, and Newcastle are going to have a double game week, likely in game week 36. They also don't blank, and he's a real differential, 6% owned, and I'm definitely monitoring him. And I think Newcastle, at times this season, we've just wanted Newcastle defence. But right now, I'm looking at Newcastle attack going, yeah, I'm okay with 2 defenders and maybe one attacking player. Maybe I need to address that because they are starting to score more and more goals. The other player I've identified that plays against Newcastle this week is Alex Moreno. So Aston Villa defence is a really interesting one because they are keeping clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet, yet no one owns any of their assets. Okay, some might be on Tyrone Mings. Well, Moreno's now starting week in, week out over Luca Dean. He's got more assist threat than the other Villa defenders. He's 1% owned. He's cheap. He has no blank game weeks. A nice differential punt. I think next season especially he'll be someone that I look to bring into my team. Class player. And then the third and final pick for my differentials is looking at Liverpool. Liverpool go to Ellen Road. Liverpool will be bitter about that game against Arsenal when they were so good in the second half. Now, we saw what Leeds did in the second half against Crystal Palace at Ellen Road. Palace scored 5 goals. That doesn't happen. If Palace can score 5 goals, how many can Liverpool score against this Leeds defence? So for me, differential, you look at that Liverpool front line, it's hard to know who's going to start over Jota and Darwin, for example. But I think Salah will start. But I think Gakpo feels like a player that's almost nailed, and therefore he could be a nice differential punt. I think he's 3% owned. He's got no blanks, a good fixture this week. Remember, Liverpool aren't playing in any other competitions, which is rare for this point in the season. So they get a full week on the training ground every week, and they're just playing once a week. I think we're going to see some strong Liverpool performances between now and the end of the season. And it's why I'd be looking to start to think about how you can bring Liverpool assets in, especially ahead of a double game week against Spurs and Fulham. But if we look at their fixtures, it's Leeds, Forest, West Ham. Then it's that double game week, Brentford, Leicester, Villa, and then they end the season at Southampton. Unbelievable fixtures. We're going to want double Liverpool by 34. And I just wonder if Hakpo will be one of those players. I would like him. I'd like to see more of him before I bring him in, but he could be a nice punt and a secondary option to Mo Salah to that attack. Likewise, if Darwin starts starting every game, I think he'll be a great option. So 3 differentials for you there. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. You can hear I'm a little bit sniffly still, but I can't wait to see all your comments and get your feedback as always. So please do like and subscribe. It means a lot that you're supporting the channel. Launching a new YouTube channel towards the end of the season perhaps wasn't the best idea, but I've certainly enjoyed the ride so far. So thank you guys, take care, and I'll see you next week.